More. Yeah. Good morning, dear friends, colleagues. Dear colleagues,
Still, yeah.
it's okay? Good. Dear colleagues, we are going to start. Please have a seat. I see we are at its 21st session. His Excellency Mr. Luke Bahadur Tapa, President of the Economic and Social Council, from my right. Her Excellency Mr. Annelena Barbok, President of the United Nations General Assembly, again from my right. Mrs. Bjork Sandjeker, Assistant Secretary General for Policy Coordination in the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations. Mrs. Juliette Biao, my dear friend, Director of the Secretariat of the United Nations Forum on Forest. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. As the chair, it is a great honor for me to welcome you to the 21st session of the United Nations Forum on Forest. By the way, my name is İsmail Belen. I am a forester from Turkey. Since its establishment in 2000, UNFF has served as the only global intergovernmental platform dedicated to policy dialogue, cooperation, and action on all types of forest. Beyond formal meetings and negotiated text, UNFF is also a place where the forestry community comes together. Representatives of member states, experts, practitioners, international and regional organizations, major groups, civil society, youth, women, indigenous peoples, local communities, scientists, and the private sector. Through plenary discussions, side events, bilateral meetings, and informal exchanges, we share knowledge, build trust, create partnerships, and learn from one another's experiences. This spirit of dialogue and cooperation is one of the forum's real strength. Dear colleagues, forests are essential for people, economies, and the planet. They support livelihoods, food, water, energy, biodiversity, climate regulation, clean air, disaster risk reduction, rural development, cultural identity, and human well-being. At the same time, forests face serious and growing pressures such as climate change, increasing forest fires, pests and diseases, storms, and other extreme events, deforestation, and forest degradation. These realities remind us that our work must be practical, science-based, and forward-looking. A concise, practical, and action-oriented omnibus resolution. The draft will be shaped by our discussions during the first 2 days of the session. I therefore invite all delegations and partners to contribute actively from the beginning with concrete ideas, practical experiences, and a spirit of consensus. These elements are valuable opportunities for our collective work. They remind us that the forum is also a platform for action, implementation, partnership, and mutual learning, thriving on concrete national and regional experiences. Dear colleagues, even under very difficult conditions, experiences shows that when efforts are sustained, science-based, and adapted to local realities, land can recover and forests and trees can respond positively. The work of Uzbekistan and other Central Asian countries on the dried seabed of the Aral Sea, as well as the Great Green Wall Initiative in Africa, are important examples of how restoration can build resilience, support communities, and create hope in challenging landscapes. As the Turkish poet and minstrel Aşık Veysel beautifully expressed, "My faithful beloved is the black soil," his words remind us that soil is not an inert surface, but a living foundation. When we care for it with knowledge, passion, and respect, it can give life back. This is also at the heart of restoration. Dear colleagues, as I approach to the conclusion of my remarks, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the Bureau. I see my colleagues here from the Bureau, and particular to the UNFF Secretariat for all the preparations undertaken for UNFF 21. I wish to underline this point especially at a time when the United Nations is engaged in reform and efficiency efforts, including the UN80 initiative. In this process, it is essential that the capacity, continuity, and institutional memory of the UNFF Secretariat are protected and strengthened. As member states, we have a shared responsibility to provide strong support to the Secretariat. I believe this support is vital not only for the effective functioning of the forum, but also for advancing our common work for the world's forests and forestry. Dear colleagues, during this week, let us work in a spirit of respect, openness, and shared responsibility. Let us aim for a useful and realistic outcome. Let us support implementation. Let us strengthen cooperation among countries and partners. And let us continue to show that forests are an essential part of the sustainable development. As chair, together with my esteemed vice chairs and the Secretariat, I will do my best to facilitate an inclusive, transparent, and constructive session. I count on your support, your experience, Dear colleagues, now I now invite His Excellency Luke Bahadur Tapa, President of the Economic and Social Council, to make a statement. Excellency, you have the floor. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Honorable Ministers, Madam President of the General Assembly, Madam Assistant Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, and friends. It is a pleasure to join you at the opening of the 21st sessions of the United Nations Forum on Forest. Let me begin with a simple image. At first light, there is the sound of birds, the rustle of leaves, the scent of wood, and the earth. That forest is not scenery, it is life. It provides in Nepal. I have seen how forest when managed by local communities can both sustain livelihoods and can nurture our shared future. Excellencies, forests still cover nearly one-third of our planet. They are home to most of the world's terrestrial biodiversity, and they decide unsustainable practices and the growing impacts of climate change. This is not only an environmental challenge, but it is a development challenge. Distinguished delegates, forests are indispensable to the 2030 agenda, particularly as we review progress on SDG 6, 7, 9, 11, and 17 at this year's high-level political forum. Water sites which regulate water flows and sustain freshwater systems that supports millions of people and economic sectors. This is especially evident in mountainous regions regulate water flows and reduce downstream impacts, protecting vulnerable communities. For SDG 7, forest remains an essential source of energy for billions of people, particularly in rural areas where wood-based energy remains a critical safety net. Helping to reduce heat stress and manage the impact of extreme weather. Excellencies, we are not starting from zero. The UN Strategic Plan for Forest 2030 provides a clear and shared direction. We know indigenous peoples and local communities. We are not lacking solution either. What we lack is alignment of policies, alignment of incentives, and alignment of investment with what we already know must be done. The challenge is implementations, and we are not moving fast enough. This session is therefore critical. Follow-up and review of the 2030 agenda, including through the high-level political forum in July. I encourage you to work toward a concise and forward-looking omnibus resolution are supported to implement forest-based solutions effectively. Dear colleagues, forests are central to addressing climate change, biodiversity loss, and sustainable development. Sustainable forest management is not an environmental agenda alone. It is a development imperative. It is a climate necessity. More importantly, it is multilateralism. Let these sessions advance practical solutions and strengthen implementations for the benefit of our people and for the benefit of our planet. Let's stand together in the simple but powerful truth that when forests thrive, humanity thrives. The future of our forest is the future of our world. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I know Nepal is very active on forestry, so it's a pleasure for me as a forester to sit together with you. Now, I now invite Her Excellency Annalena Baerbock, President of the 18th session of the General Assembly, to make a statement. Excellency, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. President of ECOSOC, Excellency, also from my side as President of the General Assembly, a warm good morning to all of you. And as my distinguished colleagues have already underlined, sometimes the most basic things are the hardest. Already in primary school, we all learn, all of our kids learn that without trees and forest, we would literally not be able to breathe. More than half of global GDP is dependent on nature. At least 33 million jobs supporting the livelihoods of 1.6 billion people are related to the forestry sector. So all economists, all companies should know as well that it is in our vital self-interest that we would do everything in our power to protect this resource. Yet, to date, we still do the opposite, destroy it. In fact, it is estimated that we currently destroy over 4 million hectares each year. And in doing so, taking away the very air we breathe, the food we eat, and the resources that charge our economies. Often, this is not simply due to neglect, but because we see this conversation as a zero-sum game about choosing environmental protection on the one hand or economic growth on the other. Even though you learned that probably in high school, these are two sides of the same coin. And people who have lived for generations in and with the forest know and have demonstrated to us that you can have it both ways. You can sustainably use what feeds you while preserving it. At the sidelines of the COP30 in Belém, the climate conference, I was visiting a family chocolate production at the edge of the Amazonas rainforest, showing how you could use the product of the forest sustainably, how making a business and even exporting it to other continents while preserving the forest, that both can go hand in hand if it's politically backed. And this has to be politically backed because, yes, indeed, we are living in a world of business. And we are living in a world where you can choose how you design your trade agreements. And if trade agreements support that we still can breathe and harvest the food of the forest while making business, this works. Consider, for example, the recently Mercosur trade agreement, which included compliance with the Paris Climate Agreement, supporting by extension labels for sustainably sourced products, especially from the rainforest, and therefore sustainable trade. So the question is not what to do, but how do we embrace this level of sustainable forest management at the macro level? How do we protect a resource that is so vital to people and communities, to countries and all our economies? First of all, and as we are trying here to work not in silos anymore, but interconnected, what we discussed already at the Forum of Indigenous People. First of all, we should listen to Indigenous people. It is estimated that over 5,000 indigenous groups manage or protect around 80% of the world's biodiversity. Embracing their leadership and valuing their knowledge and culture would be the most important first step. And where possible, support their proven efforts with modern technologies. For example, again, there are these case studies such as drones and artificial intelligence to track illegal lodging to protect the rainforest. Second, translate the agreements made right here into real tangible results. Because declaring international years and international decades for forest protections are noble gestures, but they will remain just that unless there's meaningful follow-up action back home in, again, legislation. You need local actions such as sustainable labeling for timber products that align with government policies and international agreements. Which brings me to my third point, mobilizing resources and strengthening partnerships, as none of this is happening again on its own. We need to strengthen existing mechanisms that bring together various sectors for a whole of society approach that includes partnerships such as the UNFCCC's REDD+ program, which offers financial credits in return for efforts to reduce deforestation and forest degradation. Excellencies, none of this is happening without you and your governments, as this is where these agreements succeed or fail. And this is why your engagement, also your personal engagement, is so important. As we have seen, especially in these fragmented times, which power can be generated when all of those who believe that we are better together join forces, when all levels of government align on these priorities. Consider Brazil, where in the last 12 months, deforestation has reached the lowest level since 2014. Or consider Niger, where the farmer-managed natural regeneration initiative, supported by partners like UNDP, has helped restore over 4 million hectares of land, protecting against soil erosion and boosting irrigation. There are dozens of more examples like this, and according to the latest FAO data, more than half of the world's forests are now covered by long-term management plans, and 1/5 are within legal established protected areas. So we can indeed be better together. These are successes we must build upon. Today's discussions alongside the launch of the new Global Forest Goals report is an opportunity to take stock and to sharpen our path forward, to strengthen implementation and to deliver what we know is possible, a true win-win for environmental preservation and economic growth. So let us address this issue with the seriousness it deserves. For we depend on the forest and not only our livelihoods, but also our very lives. as we have all learned already in primary school. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Annalena Baerbock, for your speech. As you mentioned, beside other benefits, forests are also very good for food we use. This is really important. Thank you so much for this stress. Now, I now invite Mrs. Björk Sandjeker, Assistant Secretary General for Policy Coordination in the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations, to make a statement. Madam Assistant Secretary General, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair of the Forum, and President of ECOSOC, and President of the General Assembly, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. On behalf of Mr. Lee, who is the Under-Secretary General for Economic and Social Affairs, it is my pleasure to address this 21st session of the United Nations Forum on Forests. At a time of growing strain on multilateral cooperation, your presence here today reflects the importance that the international community continues to attach to forests and to sustainable forest management. We meet at a time of profound global uncertainty and crises. Among them, the international community continues to confront interlinked and mutually reinforcing challenges, including the worsening effects of climate change, biodiversity loss, desertification, poverty, and growing socio-economic vulnerabilities. Progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals remains uneven and insufficient. So, ladies and gentlemen, in this context, forests are not only ecosystems of immense intrinsic value, they are indispensable natural assets for sustainable development. Forests contribute directly to climate mitigation and adaptation, to biodiversity conservation, water regulation, land restoration, food security, livelihoods, energy access, and resilient economies. As we heard from the distinguished speakers before me today, and sustainable forest management across the multilateral system. In particular, the proclamation by the General Assembly of the UN Decade for Afforestation and Reforestation in line with sustainable forest management, starting next year for the period 2027 to 2036, marks that significant opportunity to mobilize political will, to strengthen international cooperation, and to scale up action to halt and reverse forest loss worldwide. Recent outcomes under the Rio Conventions and other international processes have also reinforced the relevance of forests to global efforts on climate change, biodiversity, and land degradation. And these developments underscore the importance of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests as a coherent global framework for forest-related action, and this forum as the universal intergovernmental body dedicated to all types of forests. So, distinguished delegates, the agenda before you is substantive and forward-looking. Among them, you will consider the growing interlinkages between the global forest goals and developments under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, the Convention on Biological Diversity, and the UN Convention to Combat Desertification. In this regard, the outcomes of COP30 and its follow-up, including the continued attention to halting and reversing deforestation and forest degradation by 2030, have demonstrated and recognized the role of forests as a cross-cutting solution to major global challenges. Dear colleagues, at a time when multilateralism is being tested and the UN is facing an unprecedented, difficult liquidity situation, measures under UN80, the UN80 initiative, are implemented to make the UN more agile, more integrated, and equipped to respond to today's complex global challenging. Amid tightening resources, the United Nations Forum on Forests remains a vital platform for dialogue, for coordination, and collective ambition on forests. Its role is unique and its work is essential. The urgency of the challenges before us requires that we move resolutely from recognition and commitments to implementation. This calls for stronger political commitment, effective partnerships, and sustained support for the institutions and processes that help translate global goals into tangible action on the ground. To this end, it's critically important that all participants engage in the session. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you fruitful deliberations and a successful session. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Secretary General. As you rightly mentioned, UNFF is the vital platform, and I know you have deep-rooted for forestry because if I remember, your father was a forester, so we count on your support to live. Thank you so much. Now, dear colleagues, we will now briefly pause the meeting for a change of podium. Please remain seated. I think you are leaving. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
I thank you so much. Yes, I think we are ready. Yes. Dear distinguished participants, now I now invite Mrs. Björk Sandjeker, Assistant Secretary General for Policy Coordination in the Department of Economic and Social Affairs of the United Nations, to make a statement. Madam Assistant Secretary General, you have the floor, please. Once more, thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Chair. And again, good morning, distinguished delegates, colleagues on the podium as well as in the room, and partners. It is again a true pleasure to join you today for the launch of the Global Forest Goals Report 2026. The report comes at a critical moment. As we approach 2030, the international community faces mounting and interconnected challenges, including geopolitical uncertainties, accelerating environmental pressures linked to climate change, biodiversity loss, and land degradation. Now, in our efforts to help address these challenges, the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, where I sit, together with the UNFFS Secretariat, we are in 2026 further intensifying our support to member states to consolidate gains, to sustain momentum, and to accelerate the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals in that crucial final stretch towards the deadline in 2030. In doing so, DESA is strengthening data, we are strengthening analytical capacities, leveraging digital innovation, and promoting greater effectiveness and efficiency across intergovernmental processes. And in this context, forests do remain a vital focus for our collective efforts to protect the planet and advance sustainable development for all. I would also like to recognize that the preparation of the report was undertaken financial situation that you are aware of has required further reductions across the Secretariat in already limited resources. Despite this, the UNFFS Secretariat has successfully delivered a comprehensive report reflecting its strong commitment to the work of the Forum and its mandates. So, distinguished delegates, the Global Forest Goals Report 2026 provides a comprehensive and evidence-based overview of progress made in implementing the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests and advancing the 6 global forest goals. It draws primarily It reflects the actions taken by countries, results achieved, and the challenges encountered. As such, it offers a valuable foundation for strengthening policy decisions and enhancing international cooperation in the final years leading to 2030. The findings of the report, you can see here, reflect both progress made and challenges remaining. We see encouraging progress in several areas and regions. Countries are strengthening sustainable forest management, expanding protected areas, and reinforcing institutions and forest-related legal frameworks. There is growing recognition of the role of forests in sustainable development, in climate change mitigation, and biodiversity conservation, as reflected in national strategies and international commitments. But at the same time, the report underscores that progress remains uneven and insufficient overall. Because looking at the data, we see that deforestation has not been halted. Forest degradation continues in several regions, and the loss of primary forests, so vital for biodiversity, carbon sequestration, and ecosystem integrity, remains of particular concern. So let me show you the report again.
Yeah.
It is very clear.
They
While
cannot see.
progress has been made, we are It highlights the need to accelerate efforts, to scale up ambition, and to strengthen implementation across sectors and at all levels. And one of the key messages emerging from the report is of the importance of policy coherence. Because forests do not exist in isolation. The pressures and problems they face are often driven by other sectors, particularly from agriculture, from infrastructure and energy. So addressing these challenges requires integrated approaches that align forest-related policies with a broader land use planning and development strategies. Equally important is the need to close the financing gap. sustainable forest management remains significantly underfunded relative to its potential contributions to climate mitigation, to biodiversity conservation, and sustainable livelihoods. So mobilizing new innovative sources of finance and ensuring that resources reach those who depend on forests will be essential. The report also highlights the importance of strengthening forest governance. Transparent, inclusive, and accountable institutions are critical for combating illegal activities, for securing land tenure, and for ensuring that the benefits of forests are shared equitably, particularly with indigenous peoples and local communities. Another important message that I would like to highlight from the report relates to data and monitoring, because reliable, accessible, and comparable data are essential for tracking progress and for informing decisions. While significant advances have been made, important gaps remain, and continued efforts are needed to strengthen national capacities and to further develop and to operationalize global indicator frameworks. Now, the Global Forest Goals Report 2026 is not only an assessment of where we stand, it is also a guide to where we must go, because the coming years will be decisive. Achieving the global forest goals will require renewed political commitment, stronger partnerships, and sustained actions. It will also require us to recognize forests as a cornerstone of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and beyond. In this regard, this forum, the United Nations Forum on Forests and its partners, has a vital role to play in fostering dialogue, supporting member states, and promoting coordinated actions across the UN system. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me also take this opportunity to thank all those who for its global forest resources assessment and the valuable data it provided to this report, as well as the many experts and partners who provided insights and support. Your contributions are essential to advancing our shared vision of sustainable forest management and a better future for all. As we launch this report today, let us reaffirm our collective commitments to forests and to the people who depend on them. Let us use the findings of the report to inform our actions, to strengthen our resolve, and to accelerate progress. I would like also to invite all the members of the forum and our partners to actively disseminate and share the findings and key messages of is narrowing, but it remains within reach if we act with urgency and determination. Thank you for your attention.
Access this report. This is very important. Thank you so much. Now I invite Mr. Zimin Wu, Assistant Director General of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization and the Director of the FAO Forestry Division. He is also the Chair of CPF, Collaborative Partnership on Forest, to make a statement. Mr. Wu, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. as a milestone for assessing progress in implementation of the UN Strategic Plan for Forests 2017-2030 and its 6 global forest goals. Across regions and institutions. In a world facing converging crises, forests are at the center of the challenges and also are central to the solutions. And where we stand against these ambitions and how we use this evidence to accelerate action. Credible and comparable data target resources and track outcomes of their actions. Data from FAO Global Forest Resource Assessment 2025, drawn from its network of 7 the national trends in global context as presented in the Global Forest Goals Report 2026. FAO has supported countries in data collection and analysis for the last decades and continues in investing in strengthening towards global targets. FAO's Committee on Forestry, COFO, requested FAO to put in place a more flexible approach in front as improved data becomes available. FAO supports countries to strengthen national forest inventory and monitoring systems, update their FRA data when new and better information is generated, and ensure that the international processes are informed by the best available data at any given time. So while many countries have improved collection and accessibility of forest-related information, capacity constraints persist. So in recent years, FAO has strengthened its support for members to establish and maintain national forest monitoring systems and develop forest product statistics. Through the collaborative partnership on forests, FAO also works with members and partners to streamline and reduce reporting burdens for countries, particularly through the core set of forest-related indicators. In conclusion, this report is a call to action to use shared knowledge to inform decisions, guide investment, and deliver tangible results for forests and for people, especially those who depend them for livelihoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zimin Hu, the Assistant Director General of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. dear colleagues, allow me to say that as UNFF, we are working very closely with FAO, and Mr. Zimin, who has a very special role on that cooperation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now I now invite Mrs. Juliette Biao, Director of the
After listening to the previous speakers, honestly, there is not much that I can say, but please don't be bored with what I will say, but I just need to say something. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to present this report, the Global Forest Goal Report 2026, a report that comes at a defining moment. This report is drawn from 48 voluntary national reports which is also the comprehensive data. To avoid repeating what the previous speaker says, let me go straight to what the 6 global goals are telling us. Yet global forest area has declined by around 40 million hectares in the last decade. Climate pressures due to wildfires, droughts, pests are increasing. So yes, we are really acting, but certainly the efforts are not keeping the pace with pressures. Global Forest Goal 2 on economies, but extreme poverty among forest-dependent populations remain off track. This is not only an environmental issue, this is development and equity challenge. Global Forest Goal 3, protecting and sustainably manage forests. We see strong progress through expanding protected areas, growing certification, and increased management planning. This demonstrates that when policies align, results follow. But progress remains uneven across regions. Global Forest Goal 4, finance, science, and partnerships. Financing has reached $84 billion globally, yet the need are closer to 300 billion annually. This gap is not technical, it is political and structural. Without scaling up finance, especially private and innovative finance, implementation will stall. Global Forest Goal 5, governance and policy integration. Countries are strengthening laws, institutions, and monitoring systems. Yet fragmentation, weak enforcement, and illegal logging continue to undermine progress. The lesson is clear here. Governance must move from frameworks to effective implementation. Global Forest Goal 6, cooperation and coherence. There is unprecedented collaboration across the UN system, regional platforms, and stakeholders. But fragmentation persists across sectors, especially with agriculture, energy, and infrastructure. We must move from national action is widespread and diverse, and acceleration is required to meet the 2030 deadline, especially on halting deforestation and eradicating poverty of forest-dependent peoples. Taken together, these 6 goals send a powerful signal. We know what works, we are acting, but we are not yet acting at the scale required. What must change now? As we enter the final stretch to 2030, 5 priorities are decisive. Halting and reversing deforestation urgently. Deliver tangible benefit for forest-dependent communities. Closing the financing gap through innovation and partnership. Strengthen governance, enforcement, and accountability. Ensuring cross-sectoral coherence beyond the forest sector. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this report is not just an assessment, it is a call to leadership. The foundations are in place. Policies, partnerships, and growing political will. What is now required is speed, scale, and sustained commitment. Because forests are not only about trees, they are about people, prosperity, and the future of our planet. The decision we take today will determine whether we meet our collective commitment or fall short. Let us choose ambition. Let us choose action. I thank you for your attention. We will send the link, Chair, we will send the link later to the focal point and the missions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Juliette Biao, for your speech. So much. Dear colleagues, now we will briefly pause the meeting again for a change of podium. Please remain seated. Stay with us, please. I think we will have a short video to show you. Is it ready? See? Yes.
Forests are important as they are natural filters for people and carbons stabilize soil and regulate water cycle. They cool down the cities in the summer and they are important to our health and well-being. The UN Forum on Forest is a process that brings together policymakers, practitioners, conservation activists, representatives of timber industry, and everyone who is willing to work towards sustainable forest management. The Global Forest Goals Report 2026 is a snapshot of where progress is being made and where accelerated actions are needed in order to halt and reverse deforestation. The report shows that we don't lack solutions. Countries are doing the right things, however, not at the right scale and speed that's currently needed. The truth is that we often lose forests because some of the decisions are taken outside the forest sector. So protecting forests is not only an environmental issue, but also economic and political one. The encouraging part here is that we know what works. Scaling it up will require decision-making, political commitment, and willingness. But if we continue to take care of forests, they will continue taking care of us.
Join us. Welcome. Dear colleagues, now I now invite the forum to turn to item 1 of the provisional agenda, which is election of the officers. Members will recall that at the first meeting of its 20th session on May 2024, the forum elected its chair and the vice chairs for the 20th and 21st sessions, and the bureau is therefore fully constituted. So it means today we will not have election. We already decided. I now invite the forum to consider item 2, adoption of the agenda and other organizational matters for which the forum has before it documents containing the annotated provisional agenda for its 21st session. Are there any comments on the provisional agenda? I see. Yes. God informed that United States requested the floor. Can I see?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to take the floor on agenda item 1, if that was okay, for a brief statement.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The United States disassociates from Iran's reappointment as vice chair of the UN Forum on Forests for this session, as we do not believe they are fit to serve in this capacity. Thank you.
And I see no Australia for Australia. Yes, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. I also speak on behalf of Canada for this statement. So we also dissociate from Iran's appointment to the role of Vice Chair of the UNFF Bureau. Iran holding such a position damages the credibility of this forum. The Iranian regime's abhorrent human rights violations, its ongoing threats to the countries of its region, and its destabilizing conduct undermine multilateralism and the international rules-based order. Thank you.
Agenda item number 1, would like to join others and disassociate from this decision. We don't see Iran as a relevant vice chair for this forum. Iran is armed and supported terror all around our region.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Many thanks for your chairing the meeting. And then, Mr. Chair, as you know, the decision has taken 2 years ago by consensus, and then it's not. We all know that Iran has a very well-established practices following the rules and the respective process of especially this process. And then we also, it's not the first time that some delegates politicized technical process. And then we know that the election agreed based on the credibility, based on the transparency of this organization. And then politicizing this technical process undermined the credibility of this organization. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished delegates of Iran. Is there any other? Okay. Okay. We heard some proposal from US, Australia, and Israel, and also from Iran. So we will go on the procedures. So I will invite the forum for the item 2, adoption of the agenda and other organizational matters. So Argentina.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry for the interruption. Coming back to the first item, I will tell it in Spanish. Maybe
Argentina dissociates itself from the proposal for Iran's vice chairmanship of this forum. Thank you.
Yeah, Argentina se disocia.
Argentina dissociates from the proposal of Iran's vice chairmanship of this forum.
Thank you, Argentina. So let me discuss with the Secretariat. Okay, we heard also from Argentina, according to our establishment procedures, we are going on agenda item 2 for the adoption of the agenda and other organizational matters. As I have read, is that okay? So now I'm asking again, once more, for the comments of the provisional agenda about item 2. Okay, I see no objection. I hear no objection for agenda item 2, so it is so decided. Thank you. Thank you. Dear colleagues, now I invite the forum to turn its attention to the provisional organization of work. The provisional organization of work was introduced in detail during my organizational briefing held on 9 April and has been circulated to delegations through e-delegate and the UNFF national focal points in advance of the session. I also wish to draw the forum's attention to the information note for UNFF 21 participants that was circulated through e-delegate in March 2026, and which is also available on the UNFF 21 webpage. Turning now to the modalities of the session, as delegations are aware, UNFF 21 will meet from 11 to 15 May in person here at New York. The plenary meetings will be held in conference room in this room from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. The formal meetings of the UNFF 21 will be broadcast, live, and archived through UN Web TV. Real-time copy services will also be provided for formal meetings. Considering the austerity measures in place, the regular meetings hours of 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. for meetings with conference services will be strictly applied. The time limit for statements and interventions during UNFF 21 meetings will be 4 minutes for delegations speaking on behalf of the group of states and 3 minutes for individual delegations. As a result of current austerity measures in place, the number of meetings during UNFF 21 must be reduced by 10%. In this context, UNFF 21 will be conclude its work by the end of its meeting on Friday morning, May 15, 2026. Due to reduction of the duration of UNFF 21 and time constraint, there will be no general opening remarks on Monday morning. There will be no predetermined list of speakers for the general discussions on substantive agenda items scheduled for Monday, 15 May in the morning, as well as for the remaining general discussions during UNFF 21. I wish to add that 3 parallel side events will be held daily in an in-person format during UNFF 21. Side events will be held from 1:15 p.m. to 2:13 each day in conference room, which we are in now, conference room 4, conference room 8, and D. The list of UNFF 21 side events is available on the UNFF 21 webpage. In accordance with ECOSOC resolution, UNFF 21 is a policy session. Discussions, consideration of the items in its agenda, considering proposals contained in UNFF 20 Chair's summary, the proposals contained in the UNFF 20 First Secretariat notes, and any other issues discussions under agenda item 3D on the input on to the 2027 sessions of the high-level political forum will be prepared by the Bureau. This summary will be shared with UNFF 21 participants on the evening of 15 May 2026. Delegations will have 1 week after the conclusion of UNFF 21 to provide their comments. The Bureau will then finalize the draft input based on the views received. Dear colleagues, this morning and after the adoption of the UNFF 21 Provisional Organization of Work, the UNFF Secretariat will introduce the UNFF 21st Secretariat notes on the implementation of the UN Strategic Plan for Forests. This afternoon, the forum will hold joint general discussion on item 3B and its sub-items on the outcomes of the country-led initiatives, new announcement of voluntary national contributions by UNFF Secretariat members, and any update on the previously announced voluntary national contributions. For UNFF 21 in May 2006, there has been no suggestion for emerging issues for consideration under item 6. In this respect, the time allocated for discussion on item 6 will be devoted to the discussion on the agenda item 3BI to allow sufficient time for forum's discussion on the outcomes of 3 country-led initiatives. On Tuesday morning, tomorrow, 12th of May, the forum will consider and hold general discussion on agenda item 3D on the interlinkages between global forest goals, the sustainable development goals under review of 2026 and 2027 sessions of the high-level political forum, as well as other global forest-related developments since UNFF 20. In this respect, there will be several updates under this sub-item. After these preparations, the floor will be open for general discussion on item 3D. After that, the forum will consider agenda item 3F on means of implementation, including the operation and resource for the Global Forest Financing Facilitation Network. Under this item, the relevant Secretariat note will be introduced and an update by the UNFF Secretariat will be provided on the latest developments regarding the proposed GFFN office in China. The forum will then hold general discussion on item 3F. On Tuesday afternoon, 12 May, following the introduction of the relevant Secretariat notes, the forum will consider and hold a general discussion on agenda item 3G on monitoring, assessment, and reporting. After that, forum will consider and hold general discussion on item 4 on initial discussions on the final review of the international arrangement on forests. The forum will then consider agenda item 5 on the forum's trust funds. Under this item, the Secretariat will introduce the Secretariat note on the forum's trust funds. The Secretariat will also make remarks on the impacts of the UN80 initiative on UNFF Secretariat, as well as the information paper on workloads, needs, and gaps of the UNFFs. Following these remarks, the forum will hold general discussion on item 5. During the general discussions on this item, the forum will also resume its consultation of the information papers on workloads, needs, and gaps of the UNFF Secretariat, as per the provision of ECOSOC Resolution 2024/15, and consider the impacts of the UN80 initiative on the UNFF Secretariat. Considering the forum's discussions on 11 and 12 May, the Bureau will share the initial UNFF 21st draft resolution with UNFF participants in the evening of 12 May 2026. It means tomorrow evening. The Vice Chair of the Bureau will conduct the first reading of the draft resolution during the informal consultation on 13 May 2026. Based on the views expressed, the Bureau will revise the draft resolution and share it with UNFF participants in the evening of 13 May 2026, Wednesday evening. Similarly, on the 14th of May, the second reading of the revised draft resolution will be conducted during the informal consultation. During the informal consultation, if need be, the Vice Chair may encourage interested delegations to engage in informal exchange on any constitutional issue to assist in resolving the differences. On 14th of May at 5 p.m., the Vice Chairs will report to the plenary on the outcome of the informal consultation. Considering the views expressed during the second reading of the draft resolution and the afternoon plenary session on 14 May, the Bureau will further revise the text and share the final draft resolution with UNFF participants in the evening of 14 May, Thursday. The forum will consider the final draft resolution for adoption on the morning of 15 May 2026. I would like to emphasize that UNFF 21 plenary sessions and the informal consultation on 13 and 14 May are open to all UNFF members and UNFF partners. In the event of a need to convene an informal consultation, such meetings will be open to UNFF members only. On Friday morning, 15 May, the forum will formally consider and decide on the draft omnibus resolution. Also at that meeting, the forum will be invited to take decisions on the date and venue, as well as the provisional agenda for its 22nd session. The forum is also expected to adopt a draft procedural report on the current session. After the official closure of UNFF 21, the first meeting of the 22nd session of the forum will be convened immediately for the sole purpose of electing the members of the Bureau of UNFF 22 and UNFF 23. Last but not least, in order to ensure that all participants receive correspondence relating to our work, please make sure to send your contact information to Mrs. Edith Niamke at the UN Forum on Forest Secretariat through scanning the QR codes on the slide, which is now shown on the screen. And also, you see me on the screen, but we will share. And also before the end of this morning meeting. For New York delegates, please ensure that the e-delegate system administrator in your missions provides you with access to the UNFF pages on the module. Thank you for your patience. I know it's a long reading, but it's a part of our formal job. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions, any comments for these modalities? I know there were many questions about the modalities of omnibus resolution, but thanks to Secretariat, we reply all the questions on times. I hope now everything is clear. Is there any comments? No. Thank you, Gal. So, dear colleagues, may I take this that the forum approves its organization of work with the understanding that further adjustments may be made as needed during the session. I hear no objection, so it is so decided. Dear colleagues, I now invite the forum to begin its consideration of agenda item 3, policy discussions on the implementation of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests 2017-2030 and its sub-items A, B, D, and C jointly with item 4, initial discussions on the final review of the effectiveness of the international arrangement on forest in achieving its objectives, and item 6, emerging issues. The documentation submitted under these agenda items is listed in the eGov portal, the UN Journal, and on the UNFF website. Now I invite Mr. Ryo Nakamura of the UN Forum on Forest Secretariat to introduce the Secretariat notes under items 3 and its sub-items A, B, D, E, and items 4 and 6. Mr. Nakamura, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is my pleasure to introduce note by the Secretariat document E/CN.18/2026/2 on the implementation of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forest 2017-2030. This document provides the information to support the forum's policy discussion at this session. First, it provides the update on activities undertaken by forum members since the 20th session. Second, the note outlines the interlinkages between the global forest goals and targets and the sustainable development goals to be reviewed by the high-level political forum on sustainable development in 2026 and 2027. The note also summarizes major global forest-related developments since UNF of the UNSPF, including activities related to the International Day of Forest. Finally, the note provides background information for the forum's initial discussions on the final review of the effectiveness of the international arrangement on forest and presents several proposals for consideration during the present session. This afternoon, members of the forum will present the outcome of the 3 country-led initiatives under item 3B. These are Morocco's initiative on community-based forest management, technology and innovation, and sustainable finance for forest. Turkey's initiative on forest fires, preparedness, and innovative technologies. And Austria's initiative on advancing sustainable forest-based bioeconomy approaches. Regarding the voluntary national contributions, Spain announced a new contribution in support of the global forest goals. This brings the total number of submitted voluntary national contributions to 28. On Tuesday morning, the item 3D, the forum will consider interlinkages between the global forest goals and SDGs under review by the high-level political forum in 2026 and 2027. For the 2026 HLPF session, the chair of the forum has submitted the input from UNFF 20 to the president of the Economic and Social Council in December 2025. For the 2027 HLPF session, as just announced by the chair of the forum will prepare a forum of summary of discussion at this session for submission to the president of the council. The draft of this summary will be prepared based on discussions and item 3D for consideration by members of the forum tomorrow. The SDGs under review in 2027 will include Goal 4 on quality education, Goal 10 on reduced inequalities, Goal 12 on responsible consumption and production, Goal 15 on life on land, and Goal 17 on partnerships. With regard to emerging issues, the Bureau has allocated time this afternoon for discussion on the outcomes of the country-led initiatives. Therefore, there will be no separate emerging issue for the present session. The note also provides updates on several major global forest-related developments since UNFF 20. These include the adoption of General Assembly Resolution 79/283, UN Decade for Afforestation and Reforestation in line with sustainable forest management from 2027 to 2036. The note also refers to the outcomes of the 27th meeting of subsidiary body on scientific, technical, and technological advice of the Convention on Biological Diversity, particularly in relation to the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. In addition, the note highlights developments from 2025 UN Climate Change Conference, including matters related to the Paris Agreement and Forest Pavilion, as well as the 7th session of the UN Environment Assembly. Further information on these developments will be presented on Tuesday morning by the respective speakers and representatives under item 3D. This afternoon, under agenda item 3E, the Secretariat will present information on communication and outreach activities undertaken since UNFF 20, including the International Day of Forest in 2026. Finally, the note sets out several proposals for discussion by the forum during this session. The first proposal is to accelerate efforts towards achieving the global forest goals, including by encouraging the integration of sustainable forest management into national sustainable development strategies, and also under relevant multilateral environmental agreements. The second proposal is to implement the outcome of the country-led initiatives and to encourage the organization of one country-led initiative during the intersessional period. The third proposal is to encourage the organization of a forest pavilion at future sessions of the UN Climate Change Conference in order to raise awareness of the role and significance of forest in addressing climate change. The fourth proposal is to further raise awareness of the significance of forest, including through wider engagement in the celebration of the International Day of Forest, while also addressing related gaps and needs of the Forum Secretariat. The final proposal is to hold regular brainstorming sessions between the present session and 23rd session of the Forum. These brainstorming sessions would help develop a roadmap of activities, events, background information, and other relevant work in preparation for the final review of the International Arrangement on Forest for consideration and decision by the Forum at UNFF 23 in 2028. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rio, for your presentation. Dear colleagues, now I invite the director of the UNFF Secretariat, Mrs. Juliette Biao, to provide remarks on UNFF Secretariat activities and achievements. Mr. Biao, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues of the Collaborative Partnership on Forest, distinguished representative of regional and sub-regional partners, distinguished representative of major group and other stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to address you today and to present an overview of the activities and achievement of the UNFF Secretariat since our last session, as well as the priority that lie ahead. We meet at a moment of profound uncertainty, a world of rising tensions, shrinking threats, and increasing pressure on our ecosystem and on our people. And yet, this is precisely the moment when multilateralism must not weaken, but rise. Because forests do not recognize borders, and neither should our responsibility. Excellencies, as you all know, UNFF 21 is our first policy session since the midterm review, which reaffirmed the continued importance of the International Arrangement on Forests, IAF. Since UNFF 20, the Secretariat has focused its efforts on supporting countries in advancing the implementation of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests 2017-2030. Allow me to highlight a few key areas of progress. First, in 2025, the General Assembly adopted one major resolution on the United Nations Decade on Afforestation and Reforestation 2027-2030, which builds on and complements the resolution adopted in 2024. May I take this opportunity to really extend our appreciation to the Republic of Congo through the minister here and the government of Uzbekistan for championing those resolutions. This is a clear signal. The global community is ready to scale up action. Second, country-led initiatives from Morocco, Turkey, and Austria have moved us from dialogue to solution. Financing forests, managing forest fire, advancing the bioeconomy. These are not abstract discussions. These are practical pathway forward, and they will inform your deliberations this week. We are also seeing strong accountability and engagement. Third, the Global Forest Goals 2026, based on 48 national reports, show something important, not perfection, but ownership, not uniformity, but momentum. I would like to take this opportunity to really extend our gratitude to our sister agency, FAO, for supplementing the national report with the latest and most comprehensive data of the Forest Assessment, Resource Assessment 2025. Fourth, we have strengthened collaboration and knowledge exchange. 2 flagship webinars on payment for system services and on sustainable wood from sustainable forest management, each attracted over 20 participants. This is not just participation. It is a global demand for practical solutions. And importantly, these efforts were strengthened through effective collaboration with members of the Collaborative Partnership on Forests, leveraging on their expertise and network to deepen substance and to expand reach. May I take this opportunity to really thank all the members of the CPF, and my special thanks goes to the CPF chair, ADG Dimin. Thank you for your leadership. Fifth, we have also reinforced policy coherence across the system, linking forests to climate, biodiversity, and land, and ensuring that forests are not treated as secondary, but as central to sustainable development. Sixth, communication, one critical area. Because when forests remain invisible, they are undervalued. The Secretariat has significantly strengthened its outreach, including a redesigned website and enhanced digital engagement. These are not cosmetic changes. They are about bringing global forest goals to decision makers and to people. It is about ensuring forests are recognized for what they are, foundational to our collective future. But we must be candid about the challenge we face. The Secretariat continues to operate under significant resource reductions compounded by the broader liquidity crisis of the United Nations and the ongoing UN initiative. The growing expectations placed upon the forum, especially following the midterm review, require sustained and predictable support. Without this, our ability to deliver effectively will remain at risk. Distinguished delegates, the agenda for this session includes important issues such as implementation of the UNSPF, means of implementation, synergy and interlinkages between the GFGs and the global forest-related development in other fora, resourcing of the UNFF Secretariat and the impact of the UN80 initiative on the Secretariat, as well as an initial exchange of views among UNFF members and partners on how best to be prepared for the final review of the International Review Arrangement on Forests in 2030. As the main outcome of the session, UNFF 20 Omnibus Resolution should ensure the continued efficient functioning of the forum as and the Secretariat and their smooth navigation through the current challenging time. The decision you take this week matter. The omnibus resolution must do more than reflect discussions. It must enable the forum and ensure we navigate these challenging times effectively. Excellencies, as I conclude, let us remember why we are here. Our shared responsibility to sustainably manage forests and to protect the planet. In a divided world, this forum remains a rare space where all countries come together as equals to act. Let us move this room with statements. Let us not move from this room. Let us not leave this room with statements. Am I clear?
Yes, please.
Let us not leave this room with statement.
Go ahead.
Let us live with commitment. Let us live with clarity. Let us live with action. The Secretariat stands ready to support you in this endeavor. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Madam Director. The dear colleagues, allow me to congratulate and to thank to the Secretariat led by Madam Director. On behalf of Bureau and on behalf of the Member States, I really congratulate them. And as I mentioned in my opening speech, as the forum, this is my idea, of course, my idea, we should support them. Thank you so much, Madam Director. Thank you so much. As she clearly defined, the country-led initiatives made in Morocco, Turkey, and Austria was really effective for the UNFF works. My congratulations to them also. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I now invite the forum to hold its general discussion on agenda item 3. No, this is your turn, actually. Thank you again for your patience. Now we are going to listen our member states. Allow me to reiterate that there is no predetermined list of speakers for the general discussion. Delegations may request the floor by pressing the button on the microphone console. Delegations are kindly requested to strictly adhere to the time limits of 4 minutes for statements on behalf of a group of states and 3 minutes for statements by the individual delegations. Delegations speaking on behalf of a group are kindly asked to inform the Secretariat in the room in order to be given priority in the list. To assist speakers in managing their time, the lights on the microphone will start blinking 30 seconds before the time limit is reached to indicate that speaker should start concluding the statement. If the speaker continues beyond the time limit, the microphone will be automatically muted. Sorry for that. Nonetheless, I would like to request the speakers to deliver statements at normal speaking speed for purposes of interpretation. Longer versions of the statements may be sent for circulation through e-statements.un@org. Now it is your turn, and I would like to invite member countries to raise their hands. And the delegations headed by minister or vice minister will have the priority. So in my list, yeah, I see Indonesia. as the first speaker. Indonesia, you have the floor, please. Yes.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, Indonesia expresses its appreciation to the UNF Bureau and the Secretariat for their leadership in advancing the global forest agenda and the implementation of UN Strategic Plan for Forests 2017 to 2030. We further welcome continued follow-up to the midterm review outcomes to advance international cooperation, means of implementation, and the policy coherence. Under the leadership of President Prabowo Subianto, Indonesia remains committed to sustainable forest management as an integral pillar of climate action, biodiversity conservation, economic resilience, and sustainable development. Under Global Forest Goal 1, Indonesia has reduced forest and land fires by 86% over the past decade to improve prevention and early warning systems, law enforcement, community-based approaches, and stronger monitoring. We also committed to rehabilitating more than 12 million hectares of degraded land through strong partnership with local communities and the private sector. As home to the world's largest mangrove ecosystem, Indonesia has established the World Mangrove Center to advance global partnership in harnessing mangroves to support climate action, coastal resilience, and biodiversity conservation. Under Global Forest Goal 3, Indonesia continues to promote inclusive and participatory forest governance to the recognition of 1.4 million hectares of customary forest or hutan adat, and the expansion of social forestry to empower women, youths, and customary people. Indonesia also continues to strengthen transparency and sustainability through its timber legality assurance system, SVLK+, while advancing high integrity forest carbon initiative. Meanwhile, under the Global Forest Goal 5, Indonesia continues to promote effective forest governance through the One Map policy, enhancing cross-sectoral collaboration to protect Sumatran and Kalimantan elephant habitats, and establishing the innovative financing task force to improve national park management. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, in today's complex geopolitical landscape, we as foresters must remain determined in facing the climate crisis.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We listen to Minister of Indonesia. Thank you so much for coming. Now, in my list, I see Uzbekistan, then Ghana, after Turkey, Germany, and Mongolia. Now, it's a pleasure to me to invite the representative of Uzbekistan. You have the floor, please.
Good afternoon, distinguished chair, esteemed colleagues. We express our gratitude to UNFF Secretariat for organizing this session. For us, forests are a vital shield against desertification, dust storms, and climate change impact. According to UNCCD, every year a territory compared to Central Asian region, about 4 million square meters degrades globally. Every minute, 9 square meters of land degrades in Central Asia. The most widely known example of desertification is the Aral Sea. In just one human generation, it has turned from one of the largest lakes into new Aralkum Desert. By initiative of the President of Uzbekistan, His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev, only in 5 years within Yashil Makon nationwide project, more than 1 billion trees planted. As a result, country's greening level increased from 8% to 14%, and we plan to reach 30% by 2030. As you well know, Republic of Uzbekistan and Republic of Congo initiated UN General Assembly resolution declaring 2027-2036 as a decade of action for afforestation and reforestation. We appoint a special representative from Uzbekistan responsible for efficient implementation of decade, Mr. Shahriar Nurulayev. Within this decade, we propose the following. First, development of the global implementation roadmap for the decade of afforestation. Second, we call up for expanding the global and regional cooperation to increase green zones and combating desertification. Recently, Central Asian countries launched a regional Green Shield initiative. We are committed to plant transboundary forests in the area of 1.5 million hectares by 2035. Third, we propose to promote planting of the drought-resistant species. We call on countries to develop unified forest restoration standards in arid and semi-arid zones. And we are ready to provide the Central Asian Center for Combating Desertification and Developing a Desert Economy as a hub for knowledge sharing. Fourth, we propose taking concrete measures to establish early warning systems for dust and sandstorms across the global desert belt. For systematic implementation of the decade of afforestation, we propose to establish regular ministerial conference, ready to host its first meeting in the Aral Sea region next year. I take this opportunity to invite all delegations to the site event on advancing nature-based solution for forest restoration, water security, and climate resilience following this session. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Aziz Abduhakimov, for your speech. To take note, he invites the forum to hold the first ministerial meeting in Tashkent next year for the UN Decade of Afforestation. Thank you so much. We took note. Mr. Minister, thank you so much. Now I will invite the representative of Ghana, the Minister of Ghana. You have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates and gentlemen. Aligns up with priorities of this session and reaffirms its strong commitment to sustainable forest management. In Ghana, we have 10 commitment into concrete action on 3 key global forest goals. First, in the last year alone, through our innovative flagship Tree for Life Restoration Initiative, we mobilize citizens and residents of Ghana, schools, businesses, and communities to plant over 30 million trees through reforestation, enrichment planting, tree on farms, and assisted natural regeneration drives. We are not stopping there. From 2nd of June this year, start of the rains and the planting period, we will commence this year's edition to plant additional 30 million trees. Second, as the chairman, we have woven trees into the fabric of our farming systems. Under the Ghana Cocoa Forest Red Plus program, a climate-smart agroforestry initiative, we have integrated native tree planting into cocoa landscapes to boost yields, strengthen farmer resilience, while still being able to lock in measurable carbon benefits. Mr. Chairman, in August 2025, Ghana issued its first flight license, becoming the first in Africa and second only to Indonesia globally. That means that every timber product we now ship to Europe carries verified proof of legal and sustainable origin. That is transparency, that is accountability, that is Ghana leading by example. We have also intensified enforcement against illegal logging and mining. And we are diversifying forest finance with bold, creative instruments. And we have aligned every stride with the UN Strategic Plan for Forest 2030. We are proving that restoration, protection, and smart financing can work hand in hand. So this morning, I want to invite you to work with us under the renewed canopy of Ghana, safeguard our legacy for posterity and to do right by our planet. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your speech. Now, in my list, I see Congo, Turkey, and Germany. Now, I would like to invite the representative of Congo. You have the floor, please. It is a bit difficult from here to see the table, so if you raise your hands, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Madam Minister.
Merci, Monsieur le.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for giving me the floor. The Republic of the Congo congratulates the Bureau of this session of the UN Forum on Forests. We thank the Secretariat for the outstanding documents submitted for our consideration. My delegation also wishes to extend its deep gratitude to all member states who supported the adoption at the UNGA of the United Nations Decade for Forestation and Afforestation and Reforestation for 2027 to 2036. We thank Uzbekistan in particular for its commitment in championing this resolution, which you all voted on. In a context of climate change, endemic poverty, dwindling biodiversity, land degradation, forests are today an essential foundation for environmental, economic, and social resilience of our states. We are a country covered by forests. As such, we are strongly committed to stewarding our forest resources, with a large percentage of our country covered by forests, 69%. We are always committed to forest management with a deforestation rate that is the lowest in the world, 0.19%. And we're also attempting to conserve biodiversity. And we are going to increase our statistics for biodiversity soon too. We've also launched a afforestation and reforestation campaign aiming to plant 1 million hectares of forests, involving the private sector, young people, and local communities and indigenous communities in this push. We need international partnerships in order to move forward together. We need to support accessible financing for African countries that are vulnerable to climate change. We want for the international community to put a watchful eye on the forests of the Congo Basin to ensure that this hotbed of biodiversity can continue to be preserved, and for the deforestation rates that we see in Africa to be rolled back and reversed, so that we can move toward the preservation of life on our planet. I thank you for your gracious attention.
Merci, Madam Minister.
Thank you, Madam Minister.
Yeah, dear colleagues, together with Uzbekistan and Congo, of course, together with other stakeholders, they played a crucial role on the decade of afforestation, which is the future of forestry. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Now, it is my pleasure to invite the distinguished delegates from Turkey. You have the floor, Your Excellency.
Yes. Thank you for the floor. We thank the Secretariat for the analytical studies provided. They offer a vital technical foundation for our review of the UNFF 21 priorities. Turkey welcomes the Chair's summary from the 20th session, but we must be honest. Global cooperation remains fragmented. Financing is conditional. Technology transfer is restricted, and disaster response remains national conformed. Turkey's position is firm. There is no sustainable forest management without proactive fire management, and no proactive fire management without cross-border operational cooperation. Situated at the epicenter of climate-driven fires, we have learned that reaction equals failure, preparedness equals sovereignty. 3 facts guide our stance. The first one, Turkey's 2025 country-led initiative proved that AI-driven early warning system can reduce response times by over 40%. The second one, while the UN Environment Assembly calls for integrated
fire strategies. Implementation remains voluntary. The last one, without technological collaboration, Global Forest Goal 5 cannot be achieved. Mr. Chair, Turkey proposes a concrete solution. We call on this forum to establish, under the International Arrangement on Forests, the voluntary regional forest fire preparedness and technology transfer mechanism. Starting with the Mediterranean, this mechanism would enable real-time data sharing on fire risks, operationalize the transfer of firefighting technologies to countries with special needs, and link directly to the Global Fire Management Hub to avoid duplication. Additionally, we support limiting country-led initiatives to one per intersessional period to prioritize deep follow-up over symbolic statements. Mr. Chair, forests are the lungs of our shared home. To support global progress, Turkey
Yeah, you see, dear colleagues, he is my boss actually, and I had to cut my microphone. So poor on me. Yeah, this distinguished colleagues, we listened to Mr. Abdulkadir Polat. He is the Vice Minister of Agriculture and Forestry of Turkey. So please pray for me. Thank you. Yeah, dear colleagues, now it's a pleasure to invite the representative of Germany. You have the floor, please.
Chair, Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Germany aligns with the statement that will be delivered on behalf of the EU and its member states. We strongly advocate effective multilateralism. We are convinced that global cooperation and concerted efforts are more important than ever. This 21st session of the United Nations Forum on Forest, UNFF, can mark a real turning point where policy meets action. The challenges are climate change, biodiversity loss, forest degradation, and deforestation. We must now focus on successfully implementing the UN Strategic Plan of Forests by 2030, because protecting forests means protecting our livelihoods, our economies, and our future. Within the scope of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, parties will have firmly committed to Global Forest Goal 1, reversing forest loss. Let us use the political momentum to create a practical way that clearly targets our global goals. The goal to stop and reverse deforestation and forest degradation by 2030 at the latest, the goal at the same time to acknowledge the economic benefits forests deliver, and the goal to find effective ways of governance that allows us to manage, protect, and use our forests sustainable. Germany is and will remain a strong partner in this mission. We will continue to support innovative projects that combine forest conservation with sustainable forest management to benefit the livelihood of people who directly depends on forests. This is the base of sustainable, fair, and competitive value chain, and for a forest based by economy that serves natures and people equally. Recently, Germany joined the Forest Group of forested EU countries. That underlines our firm commitment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We heard Professor Markus Schick, the State Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Regional Identity of Germany. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, in my list, I see Mongolia, the distinguished representatives of Mongolia. You have the floor, please.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it's our honor to represent Mongolia at this session of the United Nations Forum on Forest on behalf of the government and peoples of Mongolia. Mongolia expressed sincere appreciation to the UNFF, Bureau and Secretariat for the continued leadership in advancing sustainable forest management. We meet at a time when forests have become central to the global response to climate change and environmental degradation. The forestry sector plays a crucial role in mitigating climate change, conserving biodiversity, addressing land degradation, and supporting water security and sustainable livelihood. In Mongolia, the forests constitute a vital but highly vulnerable ecosystem. While forest coverage is limited, they provide essential ecological services, including carbon sequestration, watershed protection, and biodiversity conservation. However, they are increasingly affected by climate change, forest fire, pests and insects, and advancing desertification. These pressures are intensifying and they require sustained and coordinated responses at all levels. In this regard, Mongolia is steadily implementing its Billion Trees National Movement. This reflects Mongolia's sustained national effort to expand forest cover, restore degraded land, and strengthen climate change. In this spirit, I am pleased to note that in less than 10 to 100 days, Mongolia will have an honor of hosting the international community at the 17th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Convention and Compact Certification, to be held from 17 to 28 August in Ulaanbaatar under the theme of Restoring Land and Restoring Hope. Mongolia warmly welcomes all partners to engage in addressing the interconnected global challenges of the land degradation, food insecurity, water scarcity, and ecosystem resilience. COP17 will serve as a key platform to strengthen multilateral cooperation and accelerate collective action toward a more sustainable and resilient future. As a part of its COP17 legacy, Mongolia is advancing 4 flagship initiatives aligning with the COP17 action agenda, focusing on land and people, food systems and soil health, finance, and for the first time, water. These priorities reflect the integrated nature of land, forest, and water systems, need for coherent and cross-sectoral approaches. Excellencies, the challenges before us are
Thank you, my dear friend. We took notes for your kind invitation to the UNCCD COP to be held in Ulaanbaatar in August. Thank you so much. Yeah, dear colleagues, I see in our list we have around 30 members. That's good. We are here to listen to each other. Thank you so much for your active engagement. Now, I would like to invite Cyprus, followed by, national state of Bolivia, followed by Cyprus on behalf of European Union, Israel, Colombia, and we'll go on. Now, I would like to invite the representative of Bolivia. You have the floor, please.
Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the Secretariat. I address you on behalf of the new government of Bolivia, which comes to this 21st session at a time of historic political transition. After 2 decades of a demagogic international narrative claiming to respect the Pachamama or Mother Earth, as a Bolivian, I can tell you that we have never seen such mistreatment of a mother as we have over the last 20 years in our country. The negative outcomes of this are palpable. They are seen in record levels of deforestation, forest fires, and violations affecting indigenous peoples in the lowland of Bolivia. We have inherited a country that is economically weakened, institutionally eroded, and damaged structurally with missed opportunities. Significant information gaps have prevented us from presenting a decent report on the states of forests during this midterm review, as we would have liked. In this context, the state is profoundly changing the way it conducts its business. Our government has restored integrity to environmental governance and the conservation of forests and biodiversity. So we are changing course, and we clearly reaffirm that Bolivia has decided to redefine its environmental and forest trajectory. With 54 million hectares of forest coverage, and 9 types of ecosystems and extraordinary biological importance, Bolivia is part of the planet's lungs. And based on this responsibility, we are suggesting a deep transformation. Environmental protection isn't only a cross-cutting political decision, it is also a commitment to and alignment with the principles of sustainable development. We stress that our vision is completely different. We are approaching this forest management process through a legal, technical, and political framework that puts forests at the heart of sustainable development, while also being aligned with the green economy and the international agreements to which our country is a party. We want to correct the distortions that have undervalued our forests in favor of agribusiness, where deforestation of indigenous territories and national parks was facilitated to expand coca cultivation used in the production of illicit substances.
Thank you, the distinguished representative of Bolivia. Thank you so much. Now it's a pleasure for me to invite the representative of Cyprus on behalf of the European Union. You have the floor, please.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates and representatives, I am honored to speak on behalf of the EU and its 27 member states. As it is our first intervention, we thank the UNFF Bureau and the UNFF Secretariat for its ongoing work and for organizing this 21st session. We are confident it will yield a fruitful and ambitious outcome. This week's discussions will allow us to take stock of progress made in implementing the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests and exchange ideas to maximize its impact and promote sustainable forest management worldwide. The UNSPF provides a strong and unifying framework for global efforts to protect forests and advance their sustainable management. However, we recognize that there is still a lot of work to be done to meet the global forest goals, as also highlighted by ECOSOC Resolution 2024/15 on the implementation of the outcomes of the midterm review. As we approach 2030, it is important and timely to discuss the progress in the implementation of the outcomes of the IAF midterm review. In this regard, the EU and its member states call on the Secretariat to use available resources efficiently to deliver impactful results, prioritize core mandate tasks, and consult the member states to update that prioritization. In our view, the Omnibus resolution should briefly welcome progress in implementing the IAF midterm review and encourage continued implementation, stressing the urgency of accelerating action to achieve the global forest goals while ensuring efficiency and synergies given the limited resources available. Building synergies is essential for the comprehensive and efficient implementation of the IAF. In this regard, we ask the Secretariat to continue exploring synergies with other divisions within DESA and to cooperate closely with the Secretariats of the 3 Rio Conventions and other relevant bodies, organizations, and processes in line with respective mandates. Moreover, multilateralism and coordinated action are more needed than ever to respond to forest-related challenges. In this regard, we welcome the CPF's strategic role in putting forests high on the political agenda ensuring synergies and promoting sustainable forest management, including restoration of forest ecosystems. Finally, we underline that engagement is also key. In this regard, we call on the Secretariat to ensure a broad participation of all major groups and relevant stakeholders, including indigenous peoples, local communities, women, and youth. In this regard, we welcome the recent report from the Major Groups Coordination Mechanism and encourage the Secretariat to upload it on the UNFF website. We wish everyone a productive 21st session. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, the distinguished representative of Cyprus. Allow me to congratulate for your presidency because under your presidency, you work a lot for forestry. Congratulations and my special thanks to you. Thank you. Thank you. Dear colleagues, now in my list, I see Israel, then Colombia, Ukraine, Algeria, Thailand, Cuba. So allow me to invite Gilad from Israel. You have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Israel is honored to participate in this vital dialogue on forests and their role in addressing global environmental challenges. We want to thank you and the Secretariat for your hard work and leadership. As a country with over 60% arid and semi-arid land, Israel has long recognized the importance of forests as a key component in promoting sustainability, combating desertification, and enhancing climate resilience. In 2025, Keren Kayemet LeIsrael, Jewish National Fund, the acting forest service in Israel, have made several important steps toward achieving global forest goals. As for GFG1, reversing forest loss, we prepared a plan to expand forest lands and to have proper compensation for forest loss, while special attention is given to the Negev, our southern dry area. Israel's long experience in dry forestry has been instrumental in preventing land degradation through innovative methods such as water harvesting, use of drought-resistant native species, and soil stabilization. In addition, we put emphasis on continuity of open spaces and forests to support national ecological corridors. Inspired by GFG3 on protection and forest management, we have developed new policy tools to cope with climate change challenges. We have published a new policy and guidelines document on forest fire prevention and long-term perspective on the restoration process. Our main objective is creating improved resilience by directing the management efforts to multi-age and multi-species forests, a mixture of conifers and broadleaf trees. This last year, we published updated policy and methodology for establishing new forests and the renewal of damaged forests, focusing on natural regeneration along with smart plantation. Special care is given to enhance biological diversity to support resilience on 3 levels: national, regional, and local. Lastly, following GFG5 on governments and policy frameworks, we have drafted the Forest and Trees Act with the aim of strengthening forest protection and having better supervision tools. We confirm and reaffirm our commitment to international cooperation and knowledge exchange. Israel stands ready to share its experience in dry land afforestation and climate-resilient forestry practices with countries facing similar challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We heard Mr. Gilad Ostrovsky, Director of Forest Service. Thank you so much for joining. Now, in my list, I see Colombia, Ukraine, Algeria. Colombia, you have the floor, please.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colombia conveys respectful greetings and best wishes for the successful discussions in this session. We trust that they will significantly contribute to advancing the implementation of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests and to achieving the global forest goals. Colombia comes to this forum as a country with forests covering almost 60 million hectares, more than half of our national territory. We are responsible custodians of the Amazon and of dry forests, both of which are key to global climate regulation, the stability of the hydrological cycle, and to ecosystem connectivity. Colombia, Mr. Chairman, places its forests and their diversity at the heart of our climate action. Their protection isn't only an environmental priority, it's also a structural pillar around which we fulfill our national and international commitments. In this context, we wish to highlight the following areas of progress that Colombia has made. Firstly, Global Forest Goal 1, aimed at halting deforestation. Colombia has implemented the comprehensive plan for containing deforestation. This not only advances the forest management agenda, but also contributes to the peace agenda. Thanks to this comprehensive approach, with the support of international cooperation, we've achieved an historic reduction in deforestation, with 36% decrease at the national level between 2022 and 2023, and a 38% reduction across the Amazon. On Global Forest Goal 2, on economic, social, and environmental benefits of forests, Colombia has made headway in consolidating a forest bioeconomy. This includes sustainable value chains, facilitating access to legal timber markets, and strengthening local capacities through programs such as forest extension services and community training. On Global Forest Goal 3, on increasing the areas of forests under sustainable management, Colombia has strengthened its forest governance. On the 8th of May, Colombia signed its first campesino forest concession. However, significant challenges remain. We call for increased ambition through innovative instruments such as the Tropical Forests Forever facility, a mechanism that proposes a results-based payment approach, recognizing countries' efforts in reducing deforestation, restoring ecosystems, and expanding forest cover. Finally, Colombia encourages this forum to consolidate its relevance within the international environmental architecture. Thank you very much, Chair.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you very much to you.
Muchas gracias. Yeah, you know, because of CBD COP, we had the chance to visit your beautiful country. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Dear colleagues, now I see Ukraine, the representative of Ukraine. Thank you for showing your hands. You have the floor, please.
Mr. Chairman, forests in Ukraine cover 10.4 million hectares, representing an important component of the country's natural landscape. Given the impact on natural ecosystem caused by the war of aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine, nearly a third of Ukraine's forests have been damaged to varying degrees. The ecological system of Ukraine is not only the property of Ukraine, but also of Europe and the whole world. I would like to highlight that as of today, there are up to 1 million hectares of forest in the temporary occupied territory or the territory where hostilities are taking place. These days, one of the biggest problems of forestry in Ukraine is contamination of 450,000 hectares of territories by unexploded ordnance. The estimated total amount of damage and losses is more than $157 billion. As we speak, the aggressor continues to destroy Ukrainian cities and villages, kill Ukrainians, and burn forests. As of now, forest fires covering about 40,000 hectares have been recorded in government-controlled territory as a result of the armed aggression. Our foresters continue to plant forests and rescue wildlife even under rocket fire. In 2025, we restored 26,000 hectares of forest, and new forests were planted on an area of 1,200 hectares. Within the framework of the President of Ukraine program Green Country, 1 billion trees were planted during 4 years. We harvested 14.1 million cubic meters of wood, which demonstrates the practice of sustainable forest use as the annual growth of wood exceeds the volume of harvesting. We are implementing the principles of close to nature forestry. Despite the wartime challenges, the forest industry of Ukraine demonstrated strong European integration achievements. The European Union has assigned Ukraine the highest status a country with a low risk of deforestation and forest degradation. We are fully prepared to meet the requirements of the EUDR and ensure the traceability of timber. The full-scale restoration of Ukraine's forest ecosystems is our main priority. Glory to Ukraine, and thank you.
Thank you, the distinguished representative of Ukraine. Thank you so much. Now, in my list, I see Algeria, followed by Thailand and Cuba and Brazil. Algeria, you have the floor, please.
Shukran. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Algeria underscores the importance of joint efforts in advancing the implementation of the UN Strategic Plan for Forests 2017 to 2030. In this regard, the voluntary national report of Algeria reflects Algeria's firm commitment to contributing to achieving the shared vision of sustainable forest management in line with the Agenda 2030. My country continues its efforts through the adoption of an effective policy to protect our forest resources, including the establishment of the National Committee for Forest Protection, in order to enhance national efforts within the preventive framework. And in this context, we would like to highlight the following. First, the project for the rehabilitation of the Green Dam has been launched, extending its area from 3.7 million hectares to 4.7 million hectares in support of the ecological and development systems. The initiative aims to protect an area exceeding 16,000 hectares to enhance natural recovery, while also creating local economic dynamics for the benefit of around 7 million people, including small producers and rural women. Second, the participatory approach involving all sectors and civil society within a national strategy for combating forest fires has enabled comprehensive mobilization of national efforts. It has allowed the reforestation campaigns aimed at ecosystem restoration between 2020 and 2025, resulting in an increase of forest area by 35,400 hectares. In addition, 1 million trees were planted during the National Tree Day in 2025, as well as around 5 million trees as part of the Green Algeria initiative to enhance vegetation cover. Third, the use of innovative methods in forest protection, such as unmanned aerial vehicles, along with strengthened rapid responses and early detection of fire, has contributed to reducing burnt forest areas to less than 3,500 hectares in 2024. In conclusion, Algeria looks forward to continuing our joint efforts in line with our national policy, the Global Forest Goals, and the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular Goal 15, in order to strengthen the global response to the conservation of forest heritage and the protection of biodiversity and adaptation to climate change. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Shukran, Jazira, Ya Sayed.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure to invite the representative of Thailand. You have the floor, please.
Yes. Mr. Chair, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Royal Thai government, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the United Nations for convening this important session to strengthen global cooperation on sustainable forest management. Thailand reaffirms its unwavering commitment to implement the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests and its 6 global forest goals. In line with this plan, Thailand's 20 years national strategy set a target to increase our green area to 55% by 2037. We recognize the vital role of forests in addressing global warming, biodiversity loss, and ecosystem degradation. Thailand prioritizes our forest management policy on enhancing the collaboration between government and local communities in a win-win approach. We have recently updated our Forest Act to empower local communities, as sustainable forest management is the only possible with the stewardship and fair benefit sharing of those living within or near forests. The government has resolved conflict over land use by allocating state land to communities with conditions to safeguard surrounding forests. we have actively implemented community forests under the Community Forest Act to improve forest governance and livelihood of forest-dependent communities, as well as to promote biodiversity and carbon sinks. There are totally of 12,000 community forests now, covering the area of approximately 2.4 million acres. We also support them to enhance biodiversity economy. In this regard, Thailand welcomes the outcome of IAF midterm review and call for more streamlined access to global forest financing facilitation network to assist developing countries bridging the financial gaps for forest management. Thailand also has applied technology and innovation in forest protection, law enforcement, and forest fire prevention and suspension in cooperation with relevant agencies and regional government. Lastly, I wish to reiterate Thailand's commitment to work with all parties in protecting and restoring forests in order to achieve our sustainable development goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thailand, for your contribution. Now it's my pleasure to invite the representative of Cuba. Cuba, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Cuba reaffirms its commitment to the effective implementation of the United Nations Strategic Plan for Forests 2017 to 2030 and to meeting the global forest goals strictly in alignment with the 2030 Agenda, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, and its Paris Agreement. Our country recognizes the essential role of forests in climate change mitigation and adaptation, conserving biodiversity, protecting the soil and water resources. Our country has made sustained progress in forestry protection. Currently, our forestry coverage is over 31% of our national territory as a result of decades of public policy for reforestation, ecosystem recovery, and sustainable forestry management. The National Determinatory Contribution reaffirms the priority given to the protection of forests as a fundamental resource for carbon capture to strengthen climate change resilience and to reduce soil degradation. In this context, we continue to promote mangrove restoration policies as well as conservation for vulnerable ecosystems, including coastal areas that are particularly exposed to sea level rise and extreme weather phenomena. However, these efforts are facing extraordinary obstacles due to the economic, financial, and commercial blockade imposed by the United States government against Cuba, which has been further worsened with the recent fuel siege on the country. The unilateral coercive measures severely hamper access to financing, technology, fuel, equipment, and essential inputs for sustainable forestry management, for environmental monitoring, for preventing wildfires, and the implementation of climate adaptation plans. It's essential to demand greater efforts from cannot be understood that we request more efforts from developing countries while we do not expect as much from developed countries. Cuba reiterates the need to strengthen international cooperation, ensure access to implementation measures and to funding for countries of the South under the principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, señor. In my list, I see Brazil on behalf of United for Forests, followed by United Kingdom. Brazil, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the United for Forest groups. United for Forests bring together 20 developing tropical forest countries across the Amazon, Congo Basin, Southeast Asia, and other tropical forest regions. Launched in Belém in August 2023 on the margin of the Amazon Summit, the group has now grown into a platform for dialogue, political coordination, and collective expression among tropical forest countries. We come to UNFF 21 with a clear message that we are advancing national efforts in accordance with our respective national circumstances, priorities, and capacities to implement the UN Strategic Plan for Forests, and the Global Forest Goals, particularly 1, 3, and 5. Tropical forest countries are willing to do their part, but ambition must be matched by adequate, predictable, and accessible means of implementation. This requires stronger and more coherent forest finance, capable of mobilizing resources at scale, reducing barriers to access, and supporting national capacities. In this context, we highlight the importance of innovative mechanisms, such as the Tropical Forest Forever Facility, which can help recognize the value of standing tropical forests and shorten the resource gap to support countries with tropical forests in reducing forest loss and degradation, while providing long-term incentive for conservation. The UNFF has a unique role as the Universal United Nations Forum dedicated specifically to forests. It can help ensure that the interlinkages among climate, biodiversity, land degradation, and development agendas generate synergies rather than duplication or additional burden for developing countries. UNFF 21 therefore offers an important opportunity to strengthen cooperation and advance the implementation of the Global Forest Goals. In the context of UN80, we're also underlining the importance of continued political support for the UNFF Secretariat. A strong and adequately supported Secretariat is essential to preserve forests as a comprehensive agenda within the United Nations system and to assist member states in delivering on agreed goals. The United for Our Forests group stands ready to contribute constructively to this effort, bringing the voice and experience of tropical forest countries to the center of multilateral forest discussions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brazil, and my special thanks to you for your work on forestry. Thank you so much. Distinguished delegates, now in my list, I see United Kingdom, followed by Saudi Arabia, Switzerland, and Malaysia. United Kingdom, you have the floor, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, Madam Director. It's great to be back here at the UN Forum on Forests, and we're grateful for all the work which has gone into preparing for this session. As we reconvene in 2026, we have an opportunity to reflect on progress made and the challenges ahead in achieving the Global Forest Goals by 2030. We look forward to fully reviewing the 2026 Global Forest Goals report. The latest FAO Forest Resource Assessment and World Resources Institute data show clearly that whilst there's been a long-term decline in global forest loss since the 1990s, we still face a major challenge in reversing the loss of forest cover worldwide by 2030. Tropical primary forests remain the critical global risk point despite strong policy action by countries such as Brazil. And whilst agriculture expansion is still the largest long-term driver of loss, we're seeing increased threats from climate-driven wildfires. Progress is being made, which we should all recognise, but it is fragile. Earlier this year, the UK government conducted an assessment of global biodiversity loss for our economic and food security. It identified 6 global ecosystems, of which 4 were forests, which were most important. These tropical and boreal forests underpin regional weather patterns, clean water supplies, food and economic security for millions of people. Forest protection is not a nice to have, it is essential. Forest loss is a shared global risk and one we can only address by working together, including in multilateral fora such as this. The UK government will continue to prioritise forests in our international engagement and development assistance programmes. We will continue to work in partnership to improve forest governance and land tenure, support legal and sustainable supply chains, and invest in sustainable forest management. We will continue to focus our development support on countries that need it most and through partnerships such as the Forest Climate Leaders Partnership. We must unlock even more finance for forests, and we must do it in a challenging international context where resource constraints are real. We take inspiration from figures such as Sir David Attenborough, who turned 100 last Friday and has devoted much of his life to the natural world. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The distinguished representative of United Kingdom. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, I would like to invite the representative of Saudi Arabia, followed by Switzerland. Saudi Arabia, you have the floor, please.
Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia reiterates its firm commitment to supporting the forest goals and the strategic plan for forests 2017 to 2030. Based on our belief that protecting forests and enhancing the vegetation cover and combating desertification are not only environmental issues, but are pillars for food security and quality of life and adaptation to climate change and achieving sustainable development. Within Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, our environmental efforts are a priority that is translated into bold aspirations. We are rehabilitating large areas of land that have experienced deterioration, and we are working to enhance biodiversity and improve the quality of life. In this context, the National Center for Enhanced Vegetation Cover and Combating Desertification is committed to increasing the vegetation cover and rehabilitating deteriorated lands and improving the monitoring of violations and combating them. My country is proud of our recent achievement that is represented by the rehabilitation of 1 million hectares of deteriorated land and the planting of 159 million trees. And we're committed to increased efforts on the long term in order to restore ecosystems. Mr. Chairman, the Kingdom continues its national efforts in line with international multilateral action. Accordingly, we reiterate our readiness to continue cooperation with member states and the United Nations and international partnerships in order to accelerate the global forest goals and to improve financing and experience exchange in service of a more prosperous and stable future for future generations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Shukran jazilan, Ya Sayyid.
Thank you very much.
Personally, I know Saudi Arabia is working very actively and successfully on dryland forestry. Congratulations. And I see there is a future because of your work for the future of forestry. Congratulations. Thank you. Dear colleagues, now I see in my list Switzerland, the distinguished of Switzerland. You have the floor.
Mr. Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, thank you to the UNFF Secretariat for organizing this 21st session of the forum. Switzerland would like to contribute 4 points. First, we underline the importance of the strategic positioning of the forum within the broader international policy landscape. Forests are central to addressing climate change, biodiversity loss, land degradation, and sustainable development. We welcome ongoing efforts to strengthen synergies across conventions and institutions, as well as the outreach activities of the Secretariat, CPF members, and countries. These efforts should continue in a sustained manner, building stronger bridges between frameworks to improve coherence and heighten impact. At the same time, visibility activities should be carefully assessed in terms of costs and benefits to ensure clear added value. Second, Switzerland values country-led initiatives and the opportunity to engage with them. They bring concrete issues and solutions to the forum. This year's thematic priorities on forest bioeconomy, forest fires, and forest restoration clearly illustrate both the breadth and urgency of the challenges forests and our societies face. Third, Switzerland underlines the continuing importance of the international arrangement on forests and the global forest goals. As we move towards the 2030 final review, this process must not become purely technical. It should lead to a revitalized and more effective arrangement. Our focus must remain anchored in the global forest goals while also reflecting on perspectives beyond 2030. Finally, from Switzerland's perspective, the COP30 presidency roadmap for halting and reversing deforestation and forest degradation by 2030 is of strategic importance. We see it as a potential bridge between high-level international commitments, such as the Paris Agreement, and the practical implementation of sustainable forest management. We therefore encourage reflection within the forum on how this roadmap can support the global forest goals and reinforce forest's contribution to broader international environmental objectives. We look forward to engaging in the discussion over the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you to Switzerland. Thank you so much for your deliberation. Dear colleagues, you know, before the first break, we have around 10 minutes. We will have break 1 p.m. Thank you so much for your being with us, for your patience. So I see in my list Malaysia, Cote d'Ivoire, and Russia before the break. Then during the break time, we will have side events. And in my list, I see many countries, many members. This is really good. Thank you so much for your active participation. In the afternoon, we will go on to listening on the list. So now I would like to invite the distinguished delegation of Malaysia. Thank you for raising your hands. It's really difficult from you to see you speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Malaysia is proud to be one of the world's 17 mega diverse countries with forests that play a vital role in climate regulation, water security, and the well-being of our people. Since 1992 Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Malaysia has remained steadfast in its commitment to maintain at least 50% of our land area under forest and tree cover. Today, we continue to exceed this target with 54.40% or approximately 17.99 million hectares remaining under forest and tree cover. Distinguished delegates, like many developing countries, Malaysia continue to face increasing pressure from completing land use, infrastructure expansion, and financial and technological constraints in forest conservation and monitoring. In response, Malaysia has strengthened its policy and legal frameworks, including the Malaysia Policy on Forestry and the National Policy on Biological Diversity 2022 to 2030. We also advanced major landscape initiatives such as the Central Forest Spine and Heart of Borneo, while intensifying enforcement, restoration, and nationwide tree planting efforts. International cooperation remains essential. Greater access to technology, capacity building, and sustainable financing is critical to support long-term forest conservation. Malaysia therefore encourages stronger support from global financial institutions, including the World Bank and the Global Environment Facility. We also emphasize the importance of afforestation, reforestation, and ecosystem restoration, supported by meaningful technology transfer and inclusive participation of indigenous people, local communities, civil society, and private sector. Mr. Chair, Malaysia remains committed to working closely with all partners to advance balanced, inclusive, and sustainable forest conservation in line with the international circumstances. Thank you, Chair.
So much. Now I will invite the distinguished delegation from Cote d'Ivoire. You have the floor, please.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, I'd like to begin by reassuring you of the full contribution by the delegation of Cote d'Ivoire to ensure the success of this 21st session of the United Nations Forest Forum. We grant particular importance to the sustainable management of forests in line with the United Nations Strategic Plan on Forestry for 2017 to 2030, which aims to increase global forest coverage, to halt deforestation, and to enhance the socioeconomic benefits and environmental benefits of forests. With this in mind, facing the persistent challenges of deforestation and land degradation, my country has undertaken root and branch reforms to sustainably restore our forestry coverage, particularly through the signing of voluntary contribution agreements with the European Union, with and also committing to afforestation, agroforestry, and forestry landscape restoration programs, together with the global forestry, in line with the global forest goals. This was recognized by the decision of the Green Climate Fund to establish its Regional Bureau for Africa in Cote d'Ivoire. This bears out the trust granted to our country in terms of climate and forestry policies and represents a major opportunity to strengthen Côte d'Ivoire's contribution to meeting the strategic plan's goals, particularly in terms of mobilizing green financing and providing support to African forestry initiatives. Mr. Chairman, my delegation welcomes the initiatives and the pledges announced for and recorded in 2025, which reflect growing awareness of the central role of forests to achieve the strategic plan and the sustainable development goals. However, we call for more equitable, predictable, and simplified access to forestry finance to allow developing countries to fully follow on their commitments. Côte d'Ivoire also reaffirms its commitment to the International Arrangement on Forests as the essential mechanism for the implementation of the strategic plan, promoting international cooperation, knowledge sharing, and capacity building. We believe that the success of this global strategic framework will depend on stepping up implementation mechanisms, transferring technology transfers, and building national capacities and more supportive, inclusive, results-oriented international cooperation. To conclude, Côte d'Ivoire reaffirms its willingness
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
Delegates, I know in my list there are many member states. If I read the list, Peru, Norway, Nigeria, Sudan, Kenya, Japan, South Africa, Canada, Philippines, Russian Federation, India, Australia, Jamaica, Islamic Republic of Iran, Mexico, China, Brazil, Argentina, and children and youth major groups. So this is really good. But we are concluding our first session. In the afternoon, we will have 2 minutes instead of 3. So please prepare your speak in line with this time. And before conclusion, there is a request from Russian Federation on the right of reply. The exercise of the right of reply has been requested in accordance with the rule of 45 of the rules of procedures of the Functioning Commission of the Economic and Social Council. So Russia has the floor for 2 minutes. Please.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, the Russian Federation asked for the right of reply. This is in connection with the statement delivered by the representative of Ukraine. We roundly reject the accusations against us. They have nothing to do with the issues that we are considering in the UNFF. For the years of its existence, the forum has been an authoritative, non-political platform, chiefly for a constructive exchange of opinions on the most crucial issues in forestry. In that regard, we ask for everyone to stop using the forum for anti-Russian rhetoric, and we reiterate our commitment to engaging in non-politicized cooperation with all interested delegations. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, the representatives of Russia. Now, the distinguished delegates, now we are closing our first session. Before closing, allow me to invite you for the side events. These are really important. In this time, we have 3 side events for today. The first one will be in conference room D by GEF, UNFF Secretariat, and IUCN. The second one will be conference room 8 with UNFFCC COP30 presidency led by Brazil, I guess, and UNFFC Secretariat. It will be watched on the TV. And the third one will be here at the conference room 4 led by Uzbekistan and IUCN. Mr. Aziz Abduhakimov here is waiting for you. So with this last one, I am pleased to complete our session. Thank you so much for joining. In the afternoon, we will be here at 3 p.m. Is there any other announcement? Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you so much, my colleagues. Have a nice day. Bon appetit. And enjoy.
Microphone check, check 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
So how am I going to do? Because I have like 4 different presentations.
My suggestion would be that like one will show the slide while the other one shows the person on it, so everyone can see who's speaking. But do you know the names of whose slide shows? Because if anything, if I see you, I can see your screen from inside the room. So
I think if you can, when this person starts speaking, this person has a PowerPoint.
Okay.
So then we need to switch to the PowerPoint.
All right, then I'll just switch this back to the camera while you set it up, and once I see the presentation up, I'll put it back.
Okay, perfect. And then when the panel comes, this person Eric is also going to have.
Okay.
And then Megan.
Megan as well. All right.
Yeah. Those are the 3 PowerPoints. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm so now very nervous right now.
No,
I never do technical things ever. I use my children.
As long as it still is connected, all you need to do is just press one button. I'll take care of the rest.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Sorry.
Dear colleagues, we will start in just 1 or 2 minutes, so please feel free to take your seats. Thank you.
you.